Imagine being one of the most powerful leaders in the Middle East for nearly 4 decades, shaping geopolitics from Tehran to Baghdad, Beirut to Sana'a. Imagine leading a country at the crossroads of superpower rivalry, nuclear tension, and regional conflict, standing as the spiritual and political authority for millions. This is the story of Ali Khamenei, a cleric turned president, turned supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, a leader whose life was defined by revolution, controversy, conflict, and ultimately, a dramatic end that shook the world in 2026. Born on April 19, 1939, in the holy Iranian city of Mashhad, Ali Hosseini Khamenei grew up in a religious family. He pursued Islamic studies at major seminaries in Qom and Najaf, immersing himself in religious scholarship from a young age. He was deeply involved in opposition to Iran's monarchy under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, a regime seen by many clerics as overly westernized, corrupt, and oppressive. He was arrested multiple times by the Shah security forces for his activism in the 1960s and 70s. He formed close ties with other revolutionary clerics, including Ruhollah Khomeini, who emerged as the spiritual leader of the 1979 Iranian Revolution. When the Shah was overthrown in 1979, Khomeini found himself at the heart of the newly established Theocratic Republic. In 1981, Iran's government was racked by political violence. Bombings targeted key officials and left the leadership in chaos. Khamenei was chosen as the country's president, a position he held until 1989. During his presidency, Iran was embroiled in the devastating Iran-Iraq War 1980 to 1988, a brutal conflict that cost hundreds of thousands of lives and solidified the Islamic Republic's distrust to both Western powers and neighboring Arab states. He also developed close ties to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' IRGC, a parallel military force that would grow into one of Iran's most powerful institutions. In 1989, after the death of Iran's first supreme leader, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, Khamenei was appointed supreme leader, the highest political and religious authority in Iran. Even though he was not yet a grand Ayatollah, this required changes to the Iranian constitution, strengthening the leader's powers and reshaping the political system. As supreme leader, Khamenei had final say over Iran's military, security, judiciary, and foreign policy, far more influence than the elected president or parliament. Khamenei presided over domestic crackdowns and limited dissent. Critics accused his administration of suppressing freedom of speech, restricting elections, and harshly clamping down on protests, especially after the 2009 Green Movement, a massive challenge to Iran's election results, and the 2020 nationwide protests, sparked by the death of Jina Mahsa Amini, which were met with severe force. Supporters saw him as a stabilizing figure who preserved the Islamic Republic's principles in the face of Western pressure. Critics called his rule authoritarian and repressive. Under Khamenei's leadership, Iran became a major player in Middle Eastern geopolitics, expanding influence through support for groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and allied militias in Iraq, Yemen, and Syria, challenging U.S. and Israeli policies and pursuing nuclear capabilities to bolster deterrence and national pride. Despite a brief period of international engagement, notably the 2015 nuclear agreement JCPOA, which he ultimately approved, relations with the West deteriorated after the U.S. exited the deal in 2018. Iran's regional posture under Khamenei often fueled global tensions and decades of sanctions and isolation. On February 28, 2026, Ali Khamenei was killed in a coordinated airstrike targeting his compound in Tehran, amidst escalating regional conflict involving Israeli and U.S. forces. Iran's government confirmed his death days later, and the event marked a historic turning point for the Islamic Republic. Without a clear successor, a temporary leadership council was established, highlighting a power vacuum in Iran's clerical political structure. His assassination ignited international reactions, mourning in some communities and strategic concern across capitals. Ali Khamenei's life story spanned revolution and war, ideology and power. He was a man of deep religious conviction, a master of political survival, and one of the most consequential leaders of the modern Middle East. Whether seen as a defender of sovereignty or a suppressor of dissent, his influence shaped Iran's politics, its regional impact, and global geopolitics for decades. His story is not just about one man, it's about the rise and evolution of a theocratic republic amidst the greatest power struggles of the 20th and 21st centuries.